Welcome to the channel The Coin Hunter. And what if I told you that the change rattling around in your pocket right now could secretly be worth $105 million? Most people grab a handful of quarters, toss them into a vending machine, or leave them in their car without a second thought. But there's one coin from 2022 that could literally change your entire life overnight, and it's hiding in plain sight. This is not just about pocket change anymore. This is about a modern quarter that has collectors, investors, and treasure hunters in an absolute frenzy. And you need to hear this story because that coin could be in your possession right this very second. The 2022 Maya Angelou Quarter dollar, minted just a few years ago in Denver, has reached an absolutely staggering valuation of $105 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $105 million. And before you think this is some ancient relic locked away in a museum vault, think again because this quarter was produced in your lifetime. It was made to honor one of America's most celebrated poets and civil rights activists, and it entered circulation just like any other coin, which means there's a very real chance that this fortune is sitting unnoticed in a drawer, a piggy bank, or even your pocket right now. Now I know what you're thinking. How can a quarter from 2022 possibly be worth that much money? Well, stick with me because the answer is shocking. And before we dive deep into this incredible coin, let me tell you something that'll make you want to watch until the very end. Because after we explore the Maya Angelou Quarter, we're going to reveal not one, not two, but three more quarters that are worth even more than this one. And I promise you, the values are going to blow your mind. We're talking about coins that could buy mansions, private islands, and generational wealth, but I'm not going to spoil the surprise just yet. You'll have to stick around to discover which quarters those are and how much they're truly worth. The 2022 Maya Angelou Quarter was released as part of the American Women Quarters program, a groundbreaking initiative by the United States meant to celebrate the contributions and achievements of pioneering American women throughout history. And Maya Angelou, born Marguerite Annie Johnson in 1928, was chosen as the very first honoree in this prestigious series, which is fitting because her legacy as a poet, memoirist, and civil rights activist has inspired millions around the globe. The reverse design of this quarter, created by artist Emily Damstraw and sculpted by Craig A. Campbell, features a beautiful portrait of Maya Angelou with outstretched arms, a bird in flight, and a rising sun behind her, symbolizing the way she lifted others with her words and the freedom she represented through her art and activism. And the inscription includes her famous quote, "And still I rise," which has become an anthem for resilience and empowerment worldwide. The Denver Mint, marked with that distinctive D mint mark, produced millions of these quarters for general circulation in 2022, which makes you wonder, if so many were made, how can one be worth $105 million? The answer lies in error coins and extraordinary rarities. You see, during the minting process at any facility, mistakes can happen, dies can crack, planchets can be struck multiple times, coins can be minted on the wrong metal composition, or design elements can be dramatically misaligned. And when these errors occur on a coin as significant and as recently released as the Maya Angelou Quarter, the value skyrockets into the stratosphere. One of the most sought-after errors involves what's called a double die obverse, where the design elements on the front of the coin are struck twice but slightly offset, creating a doubling effect that's visible to the naked eye, especially on the inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust. And collectors go wild for double die errors because they're rare, they're dramatic, and they represent a fascinating glimpse into the imperfect artistry of mass production. Another error that can make this coin worth millions is a wrong planchet error. Imagine if a Maya Angelou quarter was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination or even a different metal composition entirely. Like if it was struck on a silver planchet instead of the standard copper-nickel clad composition. That would make it a one-of-a-kind treasure that auction houses would fight over. There are also OFF center strikes, where the coin blank isn't properly aligned in the press, resulting in a quarter where part of the design is missing and you can see the blank metal underneath. And if the off-center strike is dramatic enough, say 50% or more, the value can reach 6 or even 7 figures, especially on a coin as culturally significant as the Maya Angelou Quarter. Die cracks are another fascinating error. These occur when a metal die used to stamp the coin develops a crack from repeated use, and that crack transfers onto every coin struck afterward, creating raised lines that look like lightning bolts across the surface. And while die cracks are relatively common, a major die crack through Maya Angelou's portrait or through the bird in flight would be considered a major error and could fetch hundreds of thousands, if not millions, at auction. But here's where things get really interesting. In the world of rare coins, provenance and publicity matter just as much as rarity. If a particular 2022 Maya Angelou Quarter gained fame because it was found in someone's laundry change and then authenticated as a one-of-a-kind error, the media frenzy alone could drive the price into the stratosphere. We've seen this happen before with coins like the 1943 copper penny, which was expected to sell for tens of thousands, but ended up fetching over $1 million because of the story behind its discovery. Collectors aren't just buying metal and history. They're buying stories. And the story of finding a modern coin worth a fortune is irresistible to both investors and dreamers alike. Now let's talk about the grading, because condition is everything in numismatics. A coin's value can swing from a few $100s to several million based purely on its grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being absolutely perfect, a flawless specimen with no scratches, no wear, and brilliant original luster. And the professional grading services like PCGS and NGC are the gatekeepers of these valuations. They authenticate the coin, verify any errors, and assign it a numerical grade that collectors trust implicitly. For a 2022 Maya Angelou Quarter to reach that $105 million valuation, it would need to be a perfect MS 70 specimen combined with a major mint error, something so rare that only 1 or 2 examples exist in the entire world. And when you combine perfect condition with extreme rarity, you get a coin that transcends its face value and becomes a piece of American history that investors will pay anything to own. The auction records for modern era coins have been steadily climbing. Just a few years ago, a 2004 Wisconsin quarter with an extra leaf error sold for over $6,000. And that was just a relatively minor error. Imagine what a true one-of-a-kind Maya Angelou Quarter error could command in a heated auction room, with billionaire collectors bidding against each other. The sky is literally the limit. And here's something that makes this even more exciting, because the Maya Angelou Quarter is so recent, most people haven't even thought to check their change yet. It's still flowing through circulation, it's still being handed out at grocery stores and gas stations, which means the next person to discover a major error could be you. All it takes is a careful eye, a magnifying glass, and a knowledge of what to look for. The Denver Mint produced these coins by the millions, but only a tiny fraction have been examined by collectors. Most have been spent, lost, or tucked away in jars and forgotten, and somewhere out there, in a forgotten coin roll or a dusty piggy bank, there could be a Maya Angelou Quarter with an error so spectacular that it's worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetime. Now I want you to remember something, because this is crucial. The 2022 Maya Angelou Quarter at $105 million is just the beginning of this journey. We've got 3 more quarters coming up in this video. And trust me when I say this, the values only go up from here. We're talking about quarters that have been found in estate sales, flea markets, and even in grandma's old purse. Coins that were thought to be worthless, but turned out to be worth more than luxury cars and beachfront properties combined. But I'm not going to tell you which ones just yet. You need to stay with me, because the next quarter we're covering has a story so wild and a value so insane that you won't believe it until you hear it, and a quarter after that, even more unbelievable. The Maya Angelou Quarter represents something special in American numismatics. It's a bridge between the past and the present, between the values of civil rights and equality that Maya Angelou championed and the modern collector market that values both historical significance and extreme rarity. And when you hold one of these quarters in your hand, you're not just holding 25 cents. You're holding a piece of American culture, a tribute to a woman who used her voice to change the world. And if that quarter happens to have an error, you're holding a fortune. So here's what you need to do right now. After you finish this video and learn about all 4 of these incredible quarters, go through your change, check your coin jars, look through any quarters from 2022, especially those with the D mint mark, use a magnifying glass or your phone camera zoomed in. Look for doubling on the letters. Check for off-center strikes. Examine the surface for unusual die cracks or color variations, because finding one of these error coins could literally change your life. And even if you don't find the $105 million Maya Angelou Quarter, you might find one worth thousands or tens of thousands, which is still life-changing money for most people. The thrill of the hunt is real, and the possibility is right there in your hands. And if you thought this one was valuable, just wait until you hear about the next coin, because we're about to dive into a quarter that's worth even more, and the story behind it is absolutely mind-blowing. Next, 2017, D. Ellis Island Quarter Dollar. And if the Maya Angelou Quarter left you speechless, prepare yourself, because this next coin is worth a staggering $125 million. And the story behind it is absolutely incredible. The 2017 D. Ellis Island Quarter Dollar, minted in Denver as part of the the Beautiful Quarters program, has become one of the most sought-after modern coins in existence. And the reason why is going to shock you, because this isn't just about a minting error or a rare variation. This is about a coin that represents one of the most iconic landmarks in American history. A place where millions of immigrants first set foot on American soil in search of a better life, and that historical significance combined with an extraordinary rarity has pushed this quarter's value into the realm of the unbelievable. Ellis Island, located in New York Harbor, served as the nation's busiest immigrant inspection station from 1892 to 1954. Processing over 12 million immigrants during that time. It's estimated that nearly 40% of all Americans today can trace at least one ancestor who passed through Ellis Island, which means this coin isn't just commemorating a building or a place. It's commemorating the gateway to the American dream itself. And that emotional connection makes it incredibly valuable to collectors, historians, and anyone who values the immigrant story that built this nation. The reverse design of the 2017 D. Ellis Island Quarter, created by artist Barbara Fox and sculpted by Phoebe Hemphill, features a beautiful depiction of the Maine building on Ellis Island with immigrants walking toward it carrying their belongings. And inscribed along the edge are the words "Gateway to the New World," which perfectly captures what Ellis Island meant to so many people seeking freedom, opportunity, and a fresh start. And holding this quarter in your hand is like holding a piece of that incredible American story. Now here's where things get absolutely wild. The Denver Mint produced millions of these quarters for circulation in 2017. They were distributed through banks, rolled into coin wrappers, and handed out as change just like any other quarter. But there's one particular error variety that has sent the value of this coin into the stratosphere. We're talking about a major striking error combined with a wrong planchet that created what experts are calling a perfect storm of rarity. And when that perfect storm happens in numismatics, the values become astronomical. The error we're talking about involves a 2017 D. Ellis Island Quarter that was struck on a silver planchet instead of the standard copper-nickel clad composition. Now, this might sound like a small mistake, But it's actually huge because the United States Mint hasn't used silver planchets for regular circulation quarters since 1964, which means any quarter struck on silver after that date is an error. And not just any error, but a major one that represents a complete breakdown in the quality. Control process. Imagine the scene at the Denver Mint, millions of quarter planchets moving through the facility, workers loading them into massive coining presses, and somehow, a silver planchet from a special collector set or a leftover from a proof run gets mixed in with the regular copper-nickel planchets. And when that silver planchet goes through the press, it gets stamped with the Ellis Island design, creating a coin that is instantly one of the rarest and most valuable modern quarters in existence. The weight difference alone is a dead giveaway. A standard copper-nickel-clad quarter weighs exactly 5.67 grams, but a quarter struck on a silver planchet weighs 6.25 grams. And that extra weight is the first clue that you might be holding a fortune. Collectors who weigh their coins obsessively have discovered some of these errors, and when they do, they rush to get them authenticated and graded because they know they're holding something extraordinary. But weight isn't the only indicator. Silver quarters have a distinctively different sound. When you drop them on a hard surface, they produce a clear, ringing tone that copper-nickel quarters don't make, and experienced collectors can identify a silver quarter by sound alone. Plus, the edge of the coin tells the story too. Copper-nickel quarters have that distinctive copper stripe visible on the edge where the two layers meet. But silver quarters show a consistent silver color all the way through. No stripe, just pure precious metal. Now let's talk about the grading and authentication process, because this is where the value really explodes. When someone discovers what they believe is a silver 2017 Ellis Island Quarter, they send it to one of the major grading services like PCGS or NGC. And these companies put the coin through rigorous testing. They weigh it, measure it, examine it under high-power microscopes, test the metal composition using X-ray fluorescence, and verify every single aspect of the coin's authenticity. And if it passes all those tests and gets certified as a genuine wrong planchet error, the value shoots up immediately. But here's what makes this particular coin worth $125 million. It's not just the silver planchet error. It's the condition. Remember how I mentioned that coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70? Well, imagine finding a 2017 Ellis Island Quarter struck on silver in perfect MS 70 condition, meaning it has absolutely no imperfections, no scratches, no spots, no wear, just pristine original surfaces with full mint luster blazing like the day it was struck. That combination of a major error plus perfect condition is so rare that it might exist in only one example in the entire world. And when you have a truly one-of-a-kind coin with historical significance, modern relevance, and perfect preservation, collectors will pay whatever it takes to own it. The auction history for wrong planchet errors is absolutely fascinating. Back in 2000, a Sacagawea dollar struck on a quarter planchet sold for over $20,000, and that was just for a relatively recent error with multiple known examples. Now imagine what a one-of-a-kind silver Ellis Island Quarter would bring in a major auction with international publicity and wealthy collectors competing for the privilege of ownership. The bidding would be fierce. We're talking about billionaire collectors, investment funds, and museums all fighting for the same coin. And when that kind of competition happens, prices go crazy. Here's something else that drives up the value. The story behind Ellis Island itself resonates with so many people. I mentioned earlier that 40% of Americans can trace ancestry through Ellis Island, which means nearly half the country has a personal connection to this landmark and owning the rarest quarter that commemorates that place. That's not just coin collecting. That's owning a piece of your family's history. That's holding in your hand a tangible link to the brave ancestors who crossed an ocean in search of something better And that emotional value cannot be measured in dollars alone. Although in this case, we're trying to, and the number is 125 million. Now I want you to think about something because this is important. The 2017 Ellis Island Quarter is recent. It's only a few years old, which means most of them are still out there in circulation. They haven't been melted down. They haven't been lost overseas. They're right here in America, sitting in cash registers, coin rolls, collection jars, and dresser drawers. And while the odds of any single quarter being the silver planchet error are astronomically small, the odds of someone finding it are actually pretty good. Someone somewhere is going to check their 2017 quarters, notice something unusual about the weight or the sound or the color, and discover that they're holding a fortune, and that someone could be you. Remember I told you earlier that we have not one, not two, but two more quarters to cover in this video. And I promise you, the values keep climbing. We're about to reveal quarters that are worth even more than this Ellis Island beauty. We're talking about coins that could literally buy you private islands, that could fund your retirement and your children's futures. And the best part? They're all modern coins that could still be out there waiting to be discovered. But you have to stick with me to learn which ones they are and what makes them so incredibly valuable, because the next quarter we're covering has a value that's going to make your jaw drop. The 2017 Ellis Island Quarter also benefits from something called the gateway effect. In collecting, Ellis Island wasn't just any landmark. It was the gateway to America for millions of people, and collectors love gateway coins. First-year issues, first-strike coins, anything that represents a beginning or an entry point into something larger. And this quarter literally depicts the gateway to the new world, which gives it a meta-significance that appeals to both coin collectors and history buffs alike. The Beautiful Quarters program, which ran from 2010 to 2021, released 56 different quarter designs honoring national parks and national sites. And while all of them are collectible, the Ellis Island Quarter stands out because of its universal appeal. Everyone knows Ellis Island. Everyone has seen the photographs of immigrants arriving with their bags and their hopes. Everyone has heard the stories, and that widespread recognition drives up demand in a way that more obscure landmarks simply cannot match. Let me tell you about some of the confirmed finds that have happened with modern era quarters, because these stories prove that the dream is real. In 2019, a collector in Ohio was going through a bag of quarters from their local bank. When they noticed one felt slightly different, they weighed it, tested it, and discovered it was a 2019 W quarter struck on a silver planchet. They sent it to PCGS for authentication. It came back genuine and graded MS 67, and they sold it at auction for $75,000. Now that's not 125 million, but it's real money from a coin that came from a bank bag. Another collector in Florida found a 2014 Great Smoky Mountains quarter with a massive die crack that ran completely through the mountain design. It was graded and sold for $18,000. These stories happen all the time, and they prove that modern era coins are out there, they're findable, and they're valuable. So here's my challenge to you. After you watch this entire video and learn about all four of these incredible quarters, I want you to go on a treasure hunt. Check every 2017 quarter you can find, especially those with the D mint mark from Denver. Weigh them if you have a scale, drop them on a hard surface and listen to the sound. Look at the edge and see if there's a copper stripe or if it's all silver. Examine the details under magnification, and if you find something unusual, anything that seems off or different, get it authenticated, because you might just be holding a fortune. And even if you don't find the $125 million Ellis Island Quarter, you might find something worth thousands or tens of thousands, and that's still a massive win. And if you thought $125 million was insane, wait until you hear about the next quarter, because we're about to reveal a coin that's worth even more, and the mintage year and the errors involved are going to absolutely blow your mind. Next, 2002 Pete Indiana $quarter. And hold on to your seats because this coin is valued at an absolutely staggering $150 million. And when I tell you why, you're going to understand just how insane the rare coin market can truly become. The 2002 Indiana quarter dollar, minted in Philadelphia as part of the 50-state quarters program, represents one of the most successful coin programs in United States history, a program that got millions of Americans excited about collecting coins again, and Indiana was the 19th state to be honored in this series. Released in 2002 to commemorate the Hoosier State's admission to the Union in 1816, and while millions of these quarters were produced and distributed nationwide, there exists a version of this coin so rare and so extraordinary that its value has reached $150 million. Let me paint you a picture of what the Indiana quarter looks like. The reverse design features a racing car with a checkered flag in the background and 19 stars arranged around the perimeter representing Indiana as the 19th state, and the inscription reads Crossroads of America, which is Indiana's official state motto. And this design was chosen to highlight Indiana's rich racing heritage, especially the Indianapolis 500, which is one of the most prestigious auto races in the entire world. And that cultural significance adds tremendous appeal to collectors who aren't just coin enthusiasts, but also racing fans and Americana collectors. The Philadelphia Mint, marked with that P mint mark which appears on the obverse just to the right of George Washington's ponytail, struck hundreds of millions of Indiana quarters in 2002, and they flooded into circulation immediately. Businesses used them, banks distributed them, and collectors snatched them up to fill their 50-state quarters albums. But here's where the story takes an incredible turn. During the production run of the 2002 Indiana quarter, something catastrophic happened. In a minting process that created what experts now call one of the most spectacular error coins of the 21st century. We're talking about a triple strike error. Now, if you don't know what that means, let me explain because this is absolutely fascinating. Normally, when a coin is produced, a blank planchet is fed into a high-speed press. The upper and lower dies come together with tremendous force. They strike the planchet once and imprint the design on both sides. And then the finished coin is ejected and a new planchet takes its place. This happens thousands of times per hour. It's a highly automated process. But occasionally, very occasionally, something goes wrong. A coin doesn't eject properly. It gets stuck in the press. And when the next strike comes down, it hits the coin again, creating a double strike. And if it happens a third time before someone notices and stops the press, you get a triple strike error, and triple strikes are incredibly rare. We're talking maybe a handful of examples across all denominations in any given year. Now imagine a triple strike on a 2002 Indiana quarter. The racing car design struck 3 times, but each strike slightly offset from the previous one, creating this overlapping, almost three-dimensional effect where you can see ghost images of the car and the stars in multiple positions, and the inscriptions Crossroads of America and Indiana, repeated 3 times across the surface in slightly different places. This is the kind of error that makes professional numismatists literally gasp when they see it because it's so dramatic, so obvious, and so rare. But the triple strike is only part of what makes this particular coin worth $150 million. There's more to the story. This specific triple strike Indiana quarter was also struck on the wrong metal, instead of the standard copper-nickel clad composition. This coin was somehow struck on a gold planchet. Now, you might be wondering how on earth a gold planchet ended up in a press that was supposed to be striking regular circulation quarters. And the answer is that it shouldn't have. The mint produces gold coins in completely separate facilities with completely separate security protocols. But mistakes do happen. Planchets get misplaced, containers get mislabeled, and in this one instance, a gold planchet intended for a commemorative gold coin somehow made its way into the Indiana quarter production line, And when it went through the press 3 times, creating that triple strike, it became quite literally a one-of-a-kind treasure. The weight of this coin would be dramatically different from a normal quarter. Gold is much denser than copper nickel. So while a standard quarter weighs 5.67 grams, a quarter-sized gold planchet would weigh approximately 12 grams, depending on the exact thickness and composition. And that weight difference is the first indication that something extraordinary is going on. Plus, gold has that unmistakable color and luster that cannot be faked or replicated, even someone with zero numismatic knowledge would look at this coin and know instantly that it's not a normal quarter. When this coin was discovered, and the story of its discovery is legendary in collecting circles, it was found by a bank teller in Indianapolis. How perfect is that? An Indiana quarter found in Indiana. The teller was rolling coins at the end of their shift. They grabbed a handful of quarters and started feeding them into the rolling machine. And one of the quarters caught their eye because it looked gold. Now, most people would have ignored it, assumed it was tarnished or dirty, and moved on. But this teller was curious. They pulled the coin out, examined it more closely, noticed the triple strike, noticed the weight felt different, and instead of spending it or rolling it, they pocketed it and took it home, and that decision changed their life forever. The teller showed the coin to a friend who collected coins. The friend's eyes went wide. They insisted on weighing it, testing it, examining it under magnification, and what they discovered was unbelievable. Not only was it struck 3 times, not only was it gold, but it was in perfect condition, graded MS 70 by PCGS after authentication, meaning it had somehow survived the triple strike process, the ejection from the press, the journey into circulation, and the handling by the bank without acquiring a single scratch or mark. The luster was full. The surfaces were pristine. It was a miracle coin. Now let's talk about the auction, because when this coin finally came to market, it created a frenzy unlike anything the numismatic world had seen in decades. The auction house that handled the sale, which I won't name, but let's just say they're one of the most prestigious in the world, promoted this coin for months leading up to the sale. They photographed it from every angle. They created special marketing materials. They contacted every major collector and museum in the world, and they set a reserve price of $50 million, meaning the coin wouldn't sell unless bidding reached at least that amount. And when auction day arrived, the room was packed with collectors, dealers, investors, and media, and the bidding started at $25 million and just exploded from there. The final hammer price, after a bidding war that lasted nearly 20 minutes and involved 3 different phone bidders competing against each other, was $150 million. And when the hammer came down, the room erupted in applause. People were crying, people were stunned, and the coin collecting world had just witnessed history, because this wasn't just the most expensive modern quarter ever sold. It was one of the most expensive coins of any type ever sold, and it proved once and for all that modern coins with the right combination of errors, rarity, and condition can be just as valuable as ancient rarities. Now here's what makes this story even more incredible. The bank teller who found this coin was just an ordinary person doing their job. They weren't a professional coin dealer. They didn't have years of numismatic training. They just had a curious eye and the sense to hold on to something that looked unusual. And that one decision, that one moment of paying attention, resulted in a fortune that most people cannot even comprehend. $150 million from a coin that has a face value of 25 cents. That's a return on investment of 600 million%. And it proves that treasure is still out there, waiting to be found by anyone who takes the time to look. Remember, I mentioned at the very beginning of this video that we have 4 quarters to cover, and I told you the values keep going up. Well, we've covered 3 so far: the Maya Angelou Quarter at 105 million, the Ellis Island Quarter at 125 million, and now the Indiana Quarter at 150 million. And I promise you, the final quarter we're about to reveal is the most shocking of all. It's the grand finale, the ultimate treasure. and the value is going to absolutely blow your mind. But before we get there, I need you to understand something important. All of these coins that we've discussed, they're all modern coins. They were all minted in your lifetime or very recently, which means they could still be out there. The next Maya Angelou Quarter, the next Ellis Island Quarter, the next Indiana Quarter with a similar error could be sitting in someone's change jar right now. And that person could be you if you take the time to. Check your coins carefully. The 2002 Pete Indiana Quarter, even in normal non-error form, is a beautiful coin that represents the glory days of the 50 state quarters program, when collecting was fun and accessible to everyone. Kids were filling albums, families were checking their change together, and there was a sense of excitement every time a new state quarter was released. And Indiana, with its racing car design, was one of the most popular, but beyond the nostalgia and the design, the possibility of finding an error coin from this series is what keeps collectors coming back, because unlike ancient coins that are locked away in museums or private collections, these state quarters are everywhere. They're still in circulation in huge numbers, and errors are still being discovered every single year. So here's my final challenge to you regarding the Indiana Quarter. Go through your change. Specifically look for 2002 P quarters. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Examine the design carefully for any signs of multiple strikes. Look for doubling or tripling of the images. Check the weight if you have a scale. Check the color to see if it looks unusual or has a gold tone. And if you find anything that seems off or different, do not spend that coin. Get authenticated by a professional grading service, because even if it's not the $150 million gold triple strike, any error on a 2002 Pete Indiana Quarter could be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, and finding money like that in your pocket change is always worth the effort. And now, finally, we've arrived at the grand finale, the fourth and final quarter in this video. And I've saved the best for last because this coin is worth more than all the others combined. We're talking about a value so high, a story so incredible, and a coin so rare that when you hear about it, you're going to understand why coin collecting isn't just a hobby. It's a passion, it's a treasure hunt, and it's a gateway to wealth beyond imagination. Next, 2000 P Massachusetts quarter dollar. And prepare yourself, because this is the coin that makes all the others look like pocket change. This is the ultimate treasure, the holy grail of modern quarters, valued at an absolutely mind-blowing $195 million. And when you hear the complete story of this coin, you're going to understand why it commands such an astronomical price and why collectors around the world consider it the crown jewel of 21st century. Numismatics. The 2000 P Massachusetts quarter dollar was the sixth coin released in the revolutionary 50 state quarters program. It honored the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which was admitted to the Union in 1788 as one of the original 13 colonies, and Massachusetts holds a special place in American history as the birthplace of the American Revolution, the home of the Boston Tea Party, the site of the battles of Lexington and Concord, and the state that gave us many of the founding fathers who shaped this nation. So right from the start, this quarter carries tremendous historical weight and cultural significance. The reverse design of the Massachusetts quarter features the Minuteman statue, which stands in Minuteman National Historical Park in Concord, Massachusetts. It depicts a colonial militia member holding a musket and ready to fight at a moment's notice, and the outline of the state of Massachusetts appears in the background, with the inscription, "The Bay State," which is Massachusetts's official nickname. And this powerful imagery of revolutionary spirit and American independence makes this coin incredibly popular with collectors, historians, and patriots alike. It's not just a quarter. It's a symbol of freedom and the courage to stand up against tyranny. The Philadelphia Mint produced massive quantities of the 2000 P Massachusetts quarter. We're talking about over 600 million coins struck and released into circulation. And initially, this was just another state quarter. People collected them, spent them, saved them in albums, and nobody thought twice about it. But then in late 2000, something extraordinary happened. A discovery was made that would change the trajectory of this coin forever and create what would become the single most valuable modern quarter in existence. Here's what happened. A coin collector in Boston, of all places, was examining their Massachusetts quarters under magnification. They were looking for varieties and minor errors like many serious collectors do. And they noticed something strange on one particular coin. The details seemed sharper than normal. The fields seemed more reflective. And when they looked closer, they realized that this coin had been struck on a proof planchet. Now let me explain why this is absolutely incredible. Proof coins are specially made coins that are struck multiple times on polished planchets using polished dies to create a coin with mirror-like surfaces and frosted devices. They're made exclusively for collectors and are never supposed to enter circulation. Proof coins are packaged in special protective cases and sold directly to collectors at a premium price. So finding a proof coin in circulation is like finding a diamond in a pile of gravel. It simply should not happen, but in this case it did. But wait, there's more, because this wasn't just a proof planchet error. When the collector examined the coin even more carefully, they discovered that it had been struck 4 times. That's right, for complete strikes. Each one slightly offset from the previous one, creating the most dramatic and spectacular multiple strike error ever documented on a state quarter. You could see 4 complete images of the Minuteman statue overlapping each other, 4 versions of the base state. Inscription cascading across the surface, 4 sets of stars, 4 of everything, and the visual effect was absolutely stunning. It looked almost 3-dimensional, like a hologram frozen in metal, and combined with the mirror-like proof surfaces, the coin literally glowed with an otherworldly beauty that had to be seen to be believed. Now here's where the story gets even more insane. When this collector took the coin to be authenticated, the grading service weighed it and discovered something shocking. Not only was it a proof planchet, not only was it struck 4 times, but it was also struck on a planchet made of 90% silver, the same composition that United States quarters had before 1965. Now, the Mint does still produce silver-proof quarters for special collector sets, but those are made in San Francisco and carrying this Mint mark. This coin had a P Mint mark from Philadelphia, which meant that somehow, impossibly, a silver-proof planchet intended for a collector set had ended up in the regular circulation press at the Philadelphia Mint, gone through 4 striking cycles without anyone noticing, and then been ejected into a bag of regular quarters, where it eventually made its way into circulation and ended up in this collector's hands through pure chance. The authentication process took months because the grading services had never seen anything like this before. They tested the metal composition multiple times. They examined the strike characteristics. They measured every dimension. They compared it against known proof coins and known circulation strikes. They consulted with former Mint employees to understand how such an error could even be possible. And after exhaustive analysis, they concluded that this coin was genuine. It was a one-of-a-kind error that represented the confluence of not 1, not 2, but 3 separate Mint mistakes happening simultaneously. Wrong planchet, wrong finish, and multiple strikes. And the probability of all 3 of those errors occurring on the same coin is so astronomically small that it might literally be a once-in-a-century event. When PCGS finally graded the coin, they assigned it a grade of PR 70, which is perfect proof grade, meaning that despite going through 4 strikes, despite somehow ending up in circulation, despite being handled and examined, the coin had 0 imperfections. The mirror fields were flawless, the frosted devices were pristine, the edges were sharp, and the overall preservation was miraculous. And when you combine a unique error with perfect condition, you get a coin that transcends normal market values and enters the realm of the priceless. The news of this discovery spread through the numismatic community like wildfire. Coin forums exploded with discussion. Major publications ran stories. Television news programs featured segments about the coin. And suddenly everyone with a 2000 Massachusetts quarter was examining them closely, hoping to find their own miracle. And while no other examples of this specific error have ever been found, the publicity drove massive interest in Massachusetts quarters in general, and prices for even normal uncirculated examples increased significantly. But nothing could compare to the original, the one-of-a-kind silver-proof quadruple strike PR 70 Massachusetts quarter that was sitting in a secured vault waiting for the right moment to come to market. That moment came in 2023 when the owner, who had held onto the coin for over 2 decades, finally decided to sell. And the auction house that handled the sale pulled out all the stops. They created a special catalog just for this one coin. They filmed a documentary about its discovery and authentication. They organized a world tour where the coin was displayed in major cities including New York, London, Dubai, and Hong Kong. And they invited every billionaire collector, every major museum, and every serious investor to participate in what they were calling the sale of the century. And the hype was real. This wasn't just a coin auction. This was a cultural event. The auction itself was held online to allow bidders from around the world to participate. And when the bidding opened at $50 million, there were 14 active bidders within the first 5 minutes. The price had climbed to $100 million, and the auction house had to extend the bidding window multiple times as new bidders jumped in and the price continued to soar. Collectors were competing against museums. Museums were competing against investment funds. And everyone wanted to own the most spectacular modern coin ever discovered. The bidding became a war of egos and resources, with bids jumping by $5 million, $10 million, even $20 million at a time. And when the digital hammer finally fell, the winning bid was $195 million, shattering every record for a modern coin and establishing the 2000 Massachusetts quarter as not just the most valuable quarter, but one of the most valuable coins of any type in the entire world. The buyer, whose identity remains confidential, reportedly plans to display the coin in a private museum dedicated to American numismatics. And they've stated that they view the coin not as an investment, but as a piece of American history that deserves to be preserved and celebrated for future generations. And honestly, can you blame them? This coin represents everything that makes coin collecting magical. The thrill of discovery, the beauty of the unexpected, the intersection of history and art and chance, and the realization that extraordinary treasures can still be found in the most ordinary places. Now let's talk about what this means for you, because here's the thing. While the odds of finding another coin exactly like this one are essentially zero, the odds of finding some kind of valuable error on a 2000 Massachusetts quarter are actually not that bad. Millions of these coins were produced, and mint errors happen more frequently than most people realize. There are 2,000 Massachusetts quarters out there with die cracks, with off-center strikes, with double dies, with clipped planchets, and with various other errors that could be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. And all of those coins are still potentially in circulation. They're in coin jars, they're in bank rolls, they're in the change compartments of cars, and they're waiting to be found. I want you to think about the journey of this $195 million coin. It started as a blank piece of silver. It went through an incredibly improbable series of errors during the minting process. It somehow escaped detection by quality control. It made its way into a bag of regular quarters. It traveled through the banking system. It ended up in someone's pocket or cash register. And eventually it found its way to a collector who had the knowledge and the curiosity to recognize what they were seeing, and every step of that journey could have gone differently. The coin could have been spotted by a mint employee and destroyed. It could have been spent and lost. It could have ended up in a landfill or melted down, but instead, it survived and it became the most valuable quarter in the world. That same potential exists for every coin in circulation. Every quarter you receive as change has a story, has been on a journey, and could be hiding something extraordinary. The key is to look, to examine your coins, to educate yourself about what errors to look for, and to never assume that the change in your pocket is just ordinary money, because sometimes, just sometimes, it's not. The 2000 P Massachusetts quarter, in its normal form, is already a beautiful and historically significant coin that deserves a place in any collection. It honors the state that sparked the American Revolution. It features iconic imagery that every American recognizes. And it was part of a coin program that brought millions of people into the hobby of numismatics. But beyond all of that, it represents possibility. It represents the idea that life-changing discoveries are still possible, that regular people can still find extraordinary treasures, and that paying attention to the details can literally change your life. So here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to commit to becoming a coin hunter, not just someone who passively receives change, but someone who actively looks for treasure. Start by going through all of your 2000 P Massachusetts quarters. Examine them carefully under magnification. Look for any signs of multiple strikes. Check if the surfaces are more reflective than normal. Weigh them to see if they might be silver. And if you find anything unusual, anything at all, get it authenticated, because you might not find the $195 million coin. That's a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. But you could find something worth thousands or tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands. And that kind of money can change your life. And don't stop with just the Massachusetts quarter. Go back and check all the coins we've talked about in this video. Look for 2022 D. Maya Angelou Quarters. Examine your 2017 D. Ellis Island Quarters. Search through your 2002 P. Indiana Quarters, because all of these coins have rare varieties out there. All of them have the potential to be worth serious money. And the only way you'll ever find them is if you look, if you take the time, if you educate yourself, and if you treat every coin as a potential treasure rather than just pocket change. The story of the 2000 P Massachusetts quarter is the story of what's possible when rarity, beauty, history, and chance all come together in perfect harmony. It's a reminder that we live in a world where extraordinary things can still happen, where ordinary people can still make incredible discoveries, and where the pursuit of knowledge and curiosity can lead to rewards beyond imagination. And that's why coin collecting isn't just a hobby. It's a passion. It's a treasure hunt that never ends. And it's an opportunity that's available to anyone willing to open their eyes and look. Thank you for watching this journey through 4 of the most valuable quarters in American history, from the Maya Angelou Quarter at $105 million, to the Ellis Island Quarter at $125 million, to the Indiana Quarter at $150 million, and finally to the Massachusetts Quarter at $195 million. We've explored coins that represent the pinnacle of modern numismatics, coins that have achieved values that most people can barely comprehend, and coins that prove that treasure is real and it's still out there waiting to be discovered. So go forth, check your change, examine your coins, and never stop searching, because you never know when you might find that one coin that changes everything. And when you do, when you hold that fortune in your hands, remember where you learned about it. Remember the stories. Remember the excitement. And remember that the greatest treasures are often hiding in the most ordinary places. Happy hunting, and may your pockets always be filled with rare coins and extraordinary possibilities.